Hi there, welcome back to Achieve Success and to me, Brian Conway, and to this training on lead generation. Now this training is taken from my Channel Sales Mastery program, which is primarily for channel partners or for technology orientated companies and value-added resellers and that sort of thing. And the vendors as well. It's for anybody who, as I said, offers any sort of technological solution. And CSM, Channel Sales Mastery, is a business system to help increase numbers of leads and sales and ultimately profits. It looks at three aspects of the sales pipeline, the lead gen, as I mentioned, the conversion aspects and the pipeline management, but also the value of each client. Because if you take the numbers of leads times the numbers of sales that you make times the value of each sale, well, that's ultimately what makes your profit or your commission if you're a salesperson as opposed to a company owner, of which this is all relevant to if you're watching this and you're in a sales role. But if you can increase any one of those aspects, then you'll see significant increases in your revenues and turnover. If you can increase all three of them, which is what CSM does, then you can see real exponential growth. But today we're focusing on lead generation. Now there is some previous content to today's video, which I'd suggest you watch first, so we don't have to obviously repeat ourselves. And you can get access to that at achievesuccess.co.uk/CSM. That's for Channel Sales Mastery, /CSM. So if you go there, there's previous training and there's additional training as well, and other additional resources and some white papers and ebooks and templates and all sorts of stuff that you can use to help with the implementation of this as well. So lead gen, that's what we're talking about. In the last video, we mentioned about driving traffic. We talked about building a landing page where we capture an email address, and that's all explained why and how we do this. And if you're skeptical about the power of email marketing today and think it's a bit old hat, well, it's not. And one of the reasons it's not is because of the new automation that a lot of these platforms now support, which is partly what I'm going to talk about today. But we said the purpose of this was to build rapport. It was about getting somebody who was a cold prospect to know you, like you a bit, and trust you, because that's what a building relationship is all about. And we said one of the reasons we might attract them in the first place or help do that is by sending them to some information, whatever that might be. Okay, so we're going to send them to some valuable information. So if you were selling MPLS, for example, it might be a buyer's guide on the benefits of MPLS over VPN and talk about the cost savings of penetration testing, or the security improvements that MPLS gives you, or the compliance mandates, that were particularly the upcoming ones around PCI DSS that you might have to comply with. So it's informative, it's a value to the individual that would drive them to opt in originally. But we said we wouldn't send them there directly. We would put them into what we call a click sequence, which is a series of emails, typically 3, that would have a click through to this information. And we talked about the psychology of why that works better than just giving them the information. So go back and watch that if you haven't seen it already. But what you're going to find in most cases is that the majority of your prospects aren't going to click through. It's just a numbers game, as in everything else. It won't go through to the information and therefore on to the next stage of your marketing funnel, whatever that might be. So we need to have a fallback. And one of the reasons they might not is because they don't know you and don't trust you maybe, and don't even like you. Perhaps because, as I said, it's a very cold and very early engagement. So what we do is we have an option here that says, have they clicked through? So did they click? Question mark. Right? If yes, then we can take them through to the next stage of the marketing funnel. But if no, we need to put them into another process which gets them to know you a little bit more without any obligation to buy anything. All right? Just adding value. It's just about giving away knowledge or information or whatever it might be. It could be tokens and vouchers and all that sort of stuff that they could use at a later date, but really it's about information. And we recommend 3 pieces of content. Now this is often referred to as an indoctrination sequence. So we've got our click sequence, which is say click here, click here, click here, and this is an indoctrination sequence. We're trying to indoctrinate them into our way of thinking or getting to know us a little bit. And as I said, that will typically have 3 pieces of content of some sort. Now what might that content be? Well, the first piece here might be a white paper on a particular aspect of technology. So it might be something around cloud versus on-premise solutions as an example. So it could be a white paper that you found, and it doesn't have to be your content. It could be I found this fantastic, useful piece of information written by NEST, perhaps, or NIST rather, the National Institute of Science and Technology, or whatever it is, that that write a lot of the guidelines, definitions for things like cloud. And we'll send that out and just say, thought you might find this useful, as if we're sending a friend an email. And it's that kind of friendly nature. Just, hey, this is useful, please click here and get it. And then for each of these pieces of content, we have another one of our click sequences. Because there's no point necessarily moving them on if they haven't watched or looked or read that first piece of information. Because we want to also track what behaviours they are displaying as well, and are they following those instructions. But if they go to the first piece of content, then what we do is we actually tag them within the system to say that's where they are in the funnel, and then we can obviously modify what we do accordingly. But if, and this is the thing with new automation systems, you have these kind of if such and such happens, do this type triggers. So if they've watched number 1, well, let's send them a click sequence to watch or view content piece number 2. Number 2 might be a video. Again, it could be something you create. It could be you speaking at an event. It could be your manager, your company owner, or one of your sales guys speaking at an event, and you feel it might be useful and relevant. It could be a YouTube video. Again, on something that's going on in our industry, or a new technology, or a shift in the marketplace, or a competitive threat, or whatever it might be. And again, a click sequence there, driving them ultimately to the third piece of content with its own click sequence. Now within there, we're seeing, are they clicking, are they moving through the funnel, and we can track accordingly. And this is where the power now of these modern email marketing systems comes into its own, because rather than just as they used to be, which was just a series of auto responders, as we call them, which was just one email after the other, no matter whether you watch any one of them or not, these are now dynamic. The emails and the routes through the system change dependent on the behavior that the prospect actually carries out. So if they do this, then do this. If they don't do that, do the other. And we can, as I said, herd them in the direction that we want, and we get a good indication of how serious they are. And at some point we can even spit them out of the system and throw them into the trash can. This is my trash can down here. And it may be that there's no point marketing to them, and we don't want to be a pain to them and sending unsolicited, or what might be now perceived as unsolicited emails. If they're not interested, we'll tell them we're taking them off the list. Thanks for the time. All right. It's all about preeminence. It's about, as I said, giving value to your marketplace without necessarily expecting anything in return, or openly anyway. But obviously, excuse me, the main objective here is getting them to know you, like you, and trust you. And this is how I build the campaigns for my clients. We pull all this together into systems for them. In fact, systems you can use that will do this for you today are systems like Active Contact. I think Aweber now does it. Not sure about MailChimp. I don't think it has automation in there yet, but at the time of shooting this video anyway, so that may have changed. Probably one of the best on the market is Infusionsoft, but it is quite pricey. But it's because it does more than just email marketing. It does has a full CRM system in there as well. So if you use Dynamics from Microsoft or Siebel or Salesforce.com, then you wouldn't need all that functionality. But if you just wanted an email system, or GetResponse, I personally use GetResponse. It's really good. It has all these workflows that you can create. It does all the email automation. It actually also has landing pages that you can create for different campaigns. Always has a survey function in there as well. So one of the aspects of this funnel could actually be to run a survey and see what people want, because it's a great way then of customizing dynamically your marketing to actually address what people have put their hand up and said, this is what I'm interested in. So that's GetResponse. Excuse me. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. Below this video on my website, I'll put a link for GetResponse where you can get a £20 credit. So if you decide to choose GetResponse, then you could get, I think it's a 30-day free trial anyway, and it's about, for initially, it's about £10 a month, so you'd get nearly a whole quarter free usage to give this stuff a go. So I'll put that link down below for you if that's of use. I don't mind if you do or you don't, that's entirely up to you. So this is how we build automation. But one of the things you can see in here is that it is a campaign. It's not a one-off piece of advertising. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, is they just do an e-shot about one thing and, oh, that didn't work particularly well. And then they do a mail shot about something else. Oh, that didn't work particularly well. Everything's got to be tied together systematically. That is the way to get the maximum impact from your marketing. It's the way to get the optimum returns on any investment you spend on advertising in particular. But this can still be used with offline as well, which we'll talk about later in this training. We'll talk about offline marketing and how that can be driven back into this online system. It could be you're a salesperson and you pick up a business card for somebody at an event, but rather than just thinking, oh, drop them in their initial email and then kind of forget to follow them up, or every now and then maybe drop them an odd email here, there, or everywhere to see if they're interested in what you might have to offer, which would be a very cold pitch. You could actually put them into a sequence like this and let this automation take care of them and look after them forever and a day, either until they buy or they die, as we say, which means they either ultimately come out of your system, whether you push them out or they choose to opt out, or they go through it enough till the time is right, till they've built the relationship with you virtually to want to take it to the next stage. So this is automation, the next phase of marketing automation, and one of the key things you can do is build this indoctrination sequence into it as a fallback to the fact that somebody hasn't taken the first objective that you've designed into your marketing. But it is a campaign. I'm going to keep reiterating that. It needs to be a series of steps. Now we can do it dynamically as well to respond to the exact actions that people do or don't take. So I hope you found that useful. As I said, if you go to achievasuccess.co.uk/CSM, I have templates of some of the stuff that you can use. There's additional training, there's some e-books you can download and all sorts of stuff that will help you with your marketing, with your lead generation, with your selling as well. We've also got some pipeline management stuff we're going to put in there shortly. And it'll in particular sort of help you focus on getting more revenue back from the investment that you make in your advertising. So hope you enjoy that. Thank you for your time, and please feel free to leave a comment or hit the share buttons and whatever you do wherever you're watching this, or ping me an email or a comment below with a question if you have one, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with that as well. And in fact, if you're sort of going, I quite like the sound of all this, and you'd like to hop on a call with me, just hop on Skype or WebEx or something for 40 minutes and talk about your business in particular, then please do so. I'll again on at CSM, achievasuccess.co.uk/CSM. I'll put a link in there for you to be able to reach out to me directly. But you may know my email address by now if you've had emails from me. I'm sure you'll find me one way or another via various social platforms. So anyway, there's just another offer for you. I'm here and trying to help you improve your marketing and your lead generation. And I'm sure you can see the value of how this dynamic response marketing could help your business. I look forward to seeing you again. I'm Brian Conway. Bye-bye.